Hold on. Twitch is faster. Twitch is the superior platform. We know this. Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
It
I don't
should
know
be
about
working
Twitch
at
being the
some
superior
point. All
platform.
right. There we go. Let it go. Rock and roll, Mr. Russman. We are live.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this beautiful Sunday morning / afternoon, depending on what time zone you're in. As usual, we are here at the Duke Post Game Report, brought to you by Relive Sports. In near the end of March, during all of this madness, but not the March Madness of basketball, which we are unfortunately missing. As usual, we are here, the Fantastic Four. I'm your Mr. Fantastic, brought to you by also with these, the Invisible Woman, the Thing, and the Human Torch, Mr. Justin Ociali, Rich Martinovich, and Freddie Martinovich in the
Wait,
house.
am I?
Who's
Who's
who?
the Invisible Woman?
I don't know, man. That's so rough. Fourth time to
Slash the or isn't like the big bulky dude? I guess that could be Franny.
He's just the Thing, yeah.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
because I'm big boned.
We could make it gender neutral and just call it the Invisible Person.
Yeah, that's true. There you go.
Yeah, to so that Human Torch, or unlike Alien Torch or something. Um, in any case, here, yes, welcome in everybody. It's we should be watching the second round of the tournament today.
Yeah, probably.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. At which point Duke would have still been in it, I think. Uh, one would hope that Duke still would have been in it. And yeah, so we got plenty to talk about this morning. Unfortunately, this is not the end of the season that we were wanting, but we have to talk about the end of the season regardless. And we've had some moves come up. There's plenty of stuff now in the media around players leaving, players coming back, new recruits. But we're going to start with looking back at the original the season that just ended. Notably, we wanted to start with our leader and ACC Player of the Year, Tre Jones, who had not only ACC Player of the Year, but also Defensive Player of the Year. So one of only two Blue Devils to ever get both in the same year. Gentlemen, I'll leave this up to you. Tre Jones with a fantastic season. As we can see here, a couple of stats on the screen. He came back this season to increase his shooting from the three-point line, from the field, increase his production. Mission accomplished for Tre Jones, although he wasn't able to get to his national title. So let's, gentlemen, I'll open the floor to you guys as far as Tre Jones' season here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was, this just shows it was a great decision to come back, and and really show what he can do with one more year of work and one more year of playing and developing, and getting out from under that shadow, of Zion and Cam Reddish and Barrett. And I think he accomplished that. I mean, he improved his shooting. I mean, I even think there were sometimes we still wish he was developing a little bit more. But I mean, I think he made leaps and bounds, even when he was already good. I mean, he showed that he was still a lockdown defender, and it kind of improved across the board and showed that he could run a team. So I think it was a great decision to come back, and I think he accomplished most of his goals.
Mm-hmm. No, I think what was most telling was the game against Virginia Tech last year in the NCAA tournament, where they would just completely leave him wide open at the three and were just daring him to shoot it. And I think he made 1 out of like 6 or 7 that game. It was really difficult to watch. And now fast forward this year, he's not afraid to pull up from three. He's not afraid to float around the perimeter and then take a three. So defenses had to respect that. So he's just now much more of a versatile player than he was last year.
Yeah, so I have an interesting point on this. I think he's gotten a lot better as a basketball player. As like a freshman coming back, it totally made sense for him to come back for his sophomore season. His numbers have been up, assists and points and everything. And also just overall efficiency and being one of the best players in the league, not only defensively, but also on the offensive end. I just don't think I fully necessarily agree with his decision to go to the NBA draft right away. That's just me personally. I don't think his game necessarily translates yet to the NBA. He still is not as good as his brother Tyus. In my opinion, Tyus still wasn't even ready for the NBA when he went. But overall, I mean, fantastic college basketball player. One of the better point guards that we've seen come through Duke, and really was a leader for this season and last season as well. And it was awesome to kind of see him grow up. But the NBA decision, I mean, that's his and his family, and totally respect that and wish all the best for him as well.
Yeah, I mean, as far as going to the NBA, there's always also the part of it that you get just from kind of like the hype and the potential. If you kind of go and you get drafted on that pick, and that's a boost. And we've talked about that in previous shows, that the boost you can get, especially in like the money that you can get by being whatever level of a lottery pick. That it's just so it's like it's just like any job, like just starting out at a higher entry level just is better for the long career, even if because your talent is going to be there regardless. That's going to show up eventually. But even if you're in there at the first step you take in is at a higher level, then it's just going to be better financially. So I always understand that part of it too.
The one thing with the financial aspect of this that I don't necessarily understand is that his brother went to the NBA already. So it's not like, I mean, in most cases, like families need their son or their son to go to the NBA or WNBA, whatever it is, to support the family and to give back in the investment that the family's put into the kid. But like in this case, his brother's already in the league, so that's why for me I think I find it a little confusing, because the money aspect really shouldn't. I mean, maybe it's still in the equation, but I mean, of course, because you double it, but I'm slightly confused on that. I don't know.
I think the other piece is you have to look at it from, okay, what happens next year? Next year, he could stay in college. He could improve only so much. So he may be kind of peaking at, okay, you're going to get drafted at this level. This is the level you're probably not going to teeter ±5. So it's really not going to make much of a difference. And so then you could either stay in college and play, not make any money, or you can go to the NBA. You could, maybe make a roster, or maybe have to go to the G League for a year, but then you're still improving, but you're also getting paid for it. So from that standpoint, I don't see him skyrocketing to a lottery pick, even if he stayed another year. So to me, it makes sense that he cashes in now and then continues to improve while getting paid to do it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, I think you're actually hit the nail on the head with that, because if you're literally as an NBA person, you're going to look at these stats, and then what you're going to do in 2020, not 2029. 2029.
Wait a second. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, now you just call that out?
Well, it's the first time I read the years part. But if you're looking at it
he stayed for 10 years, by the way.
If you're looking at it from a draft perspective, right? And also Photoshop as well.
I know.
If you look at it from
I'll
a draft
fix it here in a
perspective,
second.
That increase, you're right, will never be as big as it ever will be. From getting 10 points above, increasing your assists, increasing the percentage, that I guess it is selling high. I do agree with that.
Yeah.
We are doing.
Yeah, it's not like he's gonna increase his shooting percentage by another 10% or something like that.
I agree. Yeah, and it's not like he's gonna average 25 points. I mean, maybe he does, but that's also with the caliber of Duke players that come in, he's not gonna have his hands on the ball that much no matter what. So I think it's a good decision. I still think he could have. I was just being selfish. I think he could have been a great 4-year basketball player.
For sure. Oh,
and I think having his brother's influence was going to push him in that direction. But I thought he'd want to match his brother for a championship, but that's just me.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think he was trying to, and he got 2 shots at it. So,
one shot.
He thought he was getting a second shot at it.
Yeah. Oh man.
So to that point, I suppose, what is Trey's legacy without the championship, right, as compared to his brother?
UNC.
Well,
yeah,
that's it. I mean, it's a great legacy to have, but it goes down basically in the same book as Austin Rivers shot.
Yeah, the UNC game is going to be the defining moment. I think that's what in 10 years from now, like Duke fans that are young now who are older are going to be like, oh yeah, Trey Jones, he's the one that made the free throw, like the free throw play against UNC and brought us back from I don't even remember how far down we were. I think one other thing, and again, it'll change. The landscape will change in the next coming years once the new collective bargaining agreement is ironed out. This may be a lesson as to, okay, I can come back, I can work hard, and I can improve my draft stock. So there is value to going to college and playing for 2, maybe 3 years to then get you to the NBA versus I'm a hot shot one and done. I'm going to the NBA after my freshman year and then not getting drafted.
By the way, it's been fixed.
Well done, Ritz.
See, there you go.
Well
On the
done.
fly.
On the fly.
On the fly.
Ritz, you went to business school, right? You know the difference between 0 and 9?
Apparently, yeah. I just well, if you missed that in the in the income statement, at least I didn't move the decimal point. That would have been the worst of the two.
I mean, since he is leaving, like technically those stats for that period of time was correct, just not on an average basis.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They will hold for all the rest of eternity, essentially.
Oh man.
Yeah, actually, also, I believe Trey Jones leaves as the all-time leader in assist-to-turnover ratio.
Yeah, his ratio was very good. I don't have it
So
offhand,
over 6.
but it was great.
Yeah. So
Wow,
I
that's
mean,
actually insane.
it's insane. Like you were talking
Wait, then
about.
how did we turn the ball over so much? Who turned it over all the time?
Everyone else.
Everyone
Yeah,
up, Vern,
literally everybody else.
There was one game where Trey had an uncharacteristic number of turnovers,
Yeah.
which I can't remember which one exactly it was. But
Average like 16 or whatever. It was like 11 or 12 turnovers a game, and our point guard has the best assist to turnover ratio. And then
Yeah, I mean, part of it because I mean he was running the floor. Like I mean, he literally he brought the ball almost every time. He made the first pass every time, and if that pass guy scored, then he got like the assist off of that.
honestly, probably if you were able to break down all the plays where he touches the ball and makes the pass, I'm sure they all had a higher percentage of scoring.
Oh yeah.
Play.
I'm trying to find it. There he is. He was 35th in the nation this year in assist to turnover ratio. It was for the season. It was 2. Where is it? I lost it. For the season, 2.37. I believe he had 78 total turnovers.
And how many assists?
Let's see. There we go. Where is he? A lot.
40 something.
A lot.
185.
185. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is like in the upper, almost not quite 3. It's like 2.5 or a little bit more. Yeah. But still, one of the best. I think that Trey is sort of one of the best point guards that we've had in sort of the series of point guards that we've seen since like we were in school. So let's like start in like 2008, right? I mean, like because you could go all the way back and say, okay, well, JJ Redick, right? But like, because there was Shire, and then Irving was sort of the one and done, but he really didn't have this sort of same sort of effect as Trey. I don't feel like. I feel like he was much more of a scorer, in like get his own shot kind of thing rather than the assisting point guard. Yeah, than someone like Quinn Cook, for instance, who was always about orchestrating the offense, and then of course Tyus, his brother, and then we really haven't had a point guard. Like we keep lamenting every year. We're like, oh, we don't have a point guard this year. We don't have a point guard this year. Like finally this year we had a point guard and a big man, and we were healthy. Like going into March. Like damn.
It's a what could have been.
Yeah, well, even though like we had some shaky games there toward the end, or this team couldn't quite find, at some points had trouble finding that third scorer, but like Trey Jones was a rock. Like when you needed a shot. It was obvious. Like you'd come out of timeouts and like, the other team went on a 5-0 run or like 8-0 run and like they're trying to get back into the game. You go to Trey Jones and he gets you this mid-range beauty, and it just like it just drops, it just goes, right? Or he finds a way to make a play to steady the ship. And and absolutely the most consistent player, especially even points wise. I'm not even sure if he had like, I don't know if Justin, you still have your stats up. Like if he had like a bad game. Can we objectively say that? Oh yeah, Tre Jones had a bad game.
There were games where he didn't need to dominate from a scoring perspective because he was just distributing the ball well, and we were just so much more ahead of everybody else, and we outmatched other teams in different areas. So like Vern or Matt Hurt or Cassius Stanley. There were games where I think he scored maybe like 5 points, but in the games where we were losing, he was still trying to orchestrate. So I think his point totals were decently high in the 12 to 18 range, and even most of our losses.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was more of like a subjective question as far as like you could look back, like UNC game for Matthew Hurt, like that was a bad game. That was a bad game for Matthew Hurt. Like it just didn't happen. But like I don't know if I could go back and be like Tre Jones. All right, that was a bad game. Maybe
the turnover game. That's it.
The turnover game, which I can't remember. Maybe it was the SF Austin one, or I can't remember which one it was because we just get rid of it.
Thank God we don't have to talk about that loss again.
Yeah, we're done. No, we're not talking about it.
Yeah, we're not. Let's not bring that one up.
I guess it is the one bright side. If they had put like Stephen F.A. Austin or whatever in our bracket at all, we just would have had to see like that storyline just flashed every time for like the weeks until they were out of the tournament. So at least we escaped that one.
All right. The other player with ACC honors worth calling out, Vernon Carey. I don't have a specific graphic for Vern, but ACC. Let's see, it was
freshman.
Yes, ACC Freshman of the Year. Also All-America third team, I believe it was. So Vernon Carey, his draft prospect. I don't know, Justin. What have you been hearing?
It's as of right now, I think he's rated in the mid to late first round, somewhere in there. He has put his name forward to get information back from like the draft committee as to if he what his potential landing spot would be if he were to come out. And so I think he'll probably get a grade somewhere in the mid first round. But I mean, the kid was fantastic for a big man. I think at one point early on in the season, we were comparing his stats and his efficiency to like Jahlil Okafor, to Zion, to Marvin Bagley, like some pretty damn good big guys that we've had over the past couple years. And his stats were on par, if not in some categories better. So I think he has an NBA future. Again, the NBA game is a little quicker, but he showed against UNC towards the end of the game, like, I can run the floor and I can beat this team down the floor and get you points. So I think he's going to go to the NBA draft. He probably should go to the NBA draft. I don't see his stock skyrocketing to a lottery pick over the next year, but he'll probably be somewhere in the mid first round.
Yeah, I remember, Justin, you sent us that tweet. I forgot who it was from, but it was like March 10th, and it's like before the tournaments, the conference tournament started. But to put it in perspective, the tweet was like there were only 12 players nationally with 500 plus points, 200 plus rebounds, 40 plus blocks, and 20 plus steals, and Vernon Carey was one of those. So.
Yep.
Wow.
And fewer than 800 minutes played. So his efficiency was like off the charts, but
like he only played like 23, 25 minutes a game.
Yeah, exactly.
Which in college basketball, that's a half and a couple minutes.
Right.
Yeah, I'd probably say Vernon Carey, he's going to find himself in the first round, maybe late first round. I think we really saw him come out, and I think it was like the last few games we started to call, it was like, wow, he's actually like, he runs the floor, and he's not only running the floor on the offensive end, it was actually him running it on the defensive end. I think there were a lot of plays against UNC and a few games in between there. We actually saw that pop out, and that's where you start to realize, like, wow, this kid kind of has that drive, that potential, kind of a little bit of the Zion, like, loves the game. If you see that, if he can play like that consistently, he's going to be a really good NBA player. The one thing that I see a little odd for me is that I don't know where his mid-range and slashing ability is. Like, I
Yeah.
don't see him much as a driver. I see him more as an old school back to the basket player. And I don't know if he's big enough in the NBA to actually be able to be good at that against the other big post players. But I think he'll definitely go first round and he should have a decent career.
Yeah, he has to learn to not to pump. Like
Yeah.
And
yeah.
actually go
the
up.
whole
Yeah.
like shot fake, pump fake thing underneath when you get oh my god, not again. Like
Yeah. But
like, what is
one
it?
of the biggest problems with him was his free throw shooting, and towards the end of the season, it was better.
Oh,
Mhm.
completely
He,
turned that
he
around.
totally he did improve. He did show like in season improvement like that. It was great. I mean, it was very visible.
Oh yeah, I mean there were games where if he hadn't made it the free throws, we would have been like out of them. Like it
Yeah.
wouldn't have
Oh,
happened.
yeah. And that's very rare to see true in-season improvement like that, where the front half of the season you're pretty much shooting 50%. I don't know what he was shooting on the back half, but it was probably close to 70%.
70 or more, yeah.
Yeah, towards the back half of the season, which that takes work. That takes time and effort, and your coaches getting on you and you being coachable to whatever suggestions and ideas they have. And so that's really truly impressive from him.
Yeah, I will say about his jump shot, he did hit like a couple of mid-range jumpers like spread out throughout the season that I feel like we barely noticed it. And I know every once in a while he shot 3-pointers, like at max 2 a game.
He was
but,
perfect
I mean,
at some point.
Oh yeah, for a couple of games. I mean, he was either shooting 0% and 50% or 100% in any game he shot, right? But I mean, his shot, like his form and stuff. I mean, it looked fine. It just, like I think Justin said, like he's probably just not practicing that as much, just because it doesn't fit into like our game plan as far as how we were using him. So I mean, once you go to the NBA, I mean, that's a skill that's going to be like you need to develop more, and it's just time and work. And I think you'll have the ability to rapidly improve that. And also on the NBA, like the court is bigger, it's more spread out. And a lot of times you do see it actually becomes a little bit easier for big guys to like move around against other big guys because the little tiny defenders can't like triple team them and stuff like that. Because if you triple team in the NBA or whatever, you just kick it out and you have an all-star point guard on your team like that. They don't leave people open like that. So I think there will be, like you said, a little bit more one-on-one, but he'll also have more space to operate.
Sorry. No, going off of that too, I completely agree. He got double teamed or sometimes triple teamed, sometimes quadruple teamed, as we saw when we played UNC and NC State. He he's not very good at those situations. So we kind of saw that a lot, that he didn't really know what to do in the triple or the double teams. In the NBA, that probably won't happen. You're probably not going to get double teamed. So I think that's going to help him out. I think that's where we saw him struggle a lot, is when we saw like the double team or just the triple team. Because basically when he was down low and had to pump fake, like that's when the double team came and you like kind of just freak. I don't know. He just didn't. It wasn't like a Jahlil Okafor who just like puts the ball up and just like throws it to the open shooter and it's 3. It was a little different.
I enjoyed watching him play though. I thought he was really good. It was a great tandem between him and Trey. Like these two were consistent, like night in and night out. Like you knew what you were going to get out of these guys.
That's why I like, and he was like old school big man too.
Yeah.
Watch, because that doesn't exist anymore really, and it's just great to be able to see that.
No.
And then like with a point guard like Trey who can take advantage of it, it was beautiful to watch. It was really cool, and so yeah, I think. I mean, I'm not the one to commentate on how the game translates to the next level on the NBA side, but as far as college is concerned, I mean, these two had a heck of a season. So,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So you were saying you called one of us the Human Torch earlier, Eric. I believe there's a human highlight on our team who's been doing a lot of tweeting while in the quarantine. Actually,
his tweets are fantastic. They're so funny.
He's a professional. He may as well be. And I guess him and Matthew have been playing some either Apex or they've been playing something. But their video game career is taking off while they're under quarantine. It's the one and only Cassius Stanley here, who has just, I mean, ever since day one here against Kansas, has been all over the map. Literally, this is back-to-back play. This is back-to-back possessions, and they look like the exact same play. And like, welcome to college basketball, buddy. This is incredible. I mean, we knew since the start Cassius Stanley
Yeah.
was going to be explosive. We called that from our recruit show last summer. But, like, I mean, he delivered.
Yeah.
He delivered highlights, I would say.
He delivered highlights. That's true.
I'll leave it at that.
But, like, I mean, there was a bit of a struggle in the middle of the season. I feel like there
Mhm.
maybe like the freshman wall, but he like came through it in a big way in the latter half of the season. Was actually playing very consistently in the final couple games, like after the losses to like Carolina and NC State, or right. So like even the final two games, he found his footing again. I think he would have had a great tournament. Actually, he was peaking as far as the season is concerned at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely had some games. You know, there are some of those games where it's like, oh, you know, he'd have like a 20-point game, and then it'd be like, oh, the next game we lost, we get upset by another team, and it'd be like, oh, you look at it, oh, Cash Daly has 4 points, and we're just like, how? Like, I feel like if you just threw alley oops 8 times, you'd probably get at least 2 of them. Yeah, I was kind of disappointed sometimes to see that he didn't evolve into more of like you know, I mean, I know like Jones was taking that role, but just like as just like a go-to like scorer, because he showed glimpses of being able to do that, just like give him the ball and like just let him go, and it just wasn't always there.
So would you have preferred to see him like be able to play like one-on-one?
Yeah, that's what I thought that he was going to kind of fall into that role, especially when they were trying to like focus on guarding Jones a little bit more. Just because, I mean, with his athleticism, he was actually, you know, he outmatched guys because he could take guys and explode over them, even if they were the same height as him. And he showed glimpses of great ball handling and great, like, you know, mid-range shooting or finishing at the basket. He didn't just always do it. He was more useful in like the fast break scenario.
He's the same size of like an RJ Barrett, right?
Give or
Really?
take, yeah.
No,
I'd say-
I think RJ Barrett was taller.
No, RJ.
RJ was probably a little taller and a little longer.
It was a little taller and longer. Okay, 'cause
Yeah.
that's kind of like the game where I initially saw him. I envisioned his game to be some sort of like RJ Barrett, like slasher, cutter, like jump shot. And to be honest with you, I think his game was more one-dimensional than we expected.
Mhm.
And I think that's why, to what you were saying, like you don't see the one-on-one jump shots and those things. I don't think that part of his game was fully developed yet. But I think the highlight plays, the effort, and all that type of stuff is absolute joy to watch him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the only thing that could, you know, just imagine him now having to run on an NBA court where he has even more space and more lanes to run.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be interesting in fast breaks situation stuff, because he could definitely even dust some guys his same size.
It's an interesting point. I always compared him to like Gerald Henderson. I thought he was like.
But Gerald could go one-on-one, and he was like our go-to scorer for that time.
But is that a problem with the Duke offense or like him? Like, because it may as well as just like, okay, here, give the ball, clear it out, go isolation, and take your man off the dribble. Like, those plays didn't exist. Like, we were calling games all season. Like, I don't remember seeing that.
It's because we've done too much of that over the past like 3-4 years, where pretty much all of our offense was just ISO ball.
Well, that's true.
And luckily, the result of RJ Barrett taking
a horrible way to play too. But
anyway.
Yeah.
But I think he has dimensions to his game. It's just some games we would see him like, oh wow, Cassius just made 3 out of 6 threes, or like look at him going and getting a lot of boards. But some games it was just like, oh, okay, we got a couple dunks. He makes some free throws, and then his point totals go up. So I think there's work to be done to build up his mid-range game and his ability to truly beat people off the dribble. But to your guys' point, yeah, we didn't really have that this season in terms of our offensive set. It wasn't very much of an ISO ball setup, which I think helped us a lot.
So we don't know if he's actually going to go or stay at this point. You said he was going to be evaluated.
He's getting evaluated, right. Similar as Vern. He's getting evaluated. He's getting information, which, as he should get information. I don't think he'll go. I think he'll probably get a late second round grade or won't get a draft grade at all. The other thing, again, I'm not an NBA talent scout or an evaluator. The things that they might like a lot in terms of his athleticism, his ability to run, his ability to dunk and to get onto both sides of the floor very quickly. And those might be things that they value more than being able to pull up from the elbow, So
Yeah, because I
don't
think
know.
what you guys have been
Depends.
saying is that the ability to go, or the explosiveness and the athleticism is there. It's just that the Duke college offense, and how that we played, because Fran, to your point, we were playing very much old school, big man down low, like point guard, run this thing like a 2010 team, and not or like a 2015 team, and not like a 2018 or 2017 team, right? Yeah, maybe it wasn't the opportunity to properly showcase those skills. Maybe if he comes back, he does get it next year.
He has the athleticism and he has the ability. It's just like, does he have the actual instinct and the actual wherewithal to use that? And I think he should stay one more year. I think for sure he's good. He for sure won't be in the first round, and I don't think he may late second round. But you don't want to be a second round draft pick in the NBA. If you go to the NBA, you only want to be in the first round. Second round's a terrible place to be, monetarily and for your life.
Well, he could come do a Luke Kennard kind of thing. Just have this really explosive season.
And I think that's what he probably will, because he'll understand, he'll watch back his season and be like, I can do way more than this. I need to do way more than this. And I think maybe that'll be helpful. It's hard to transition. I mean, then again, we're like spoiled with like the Zions and the RJs and all these other people that come from like high school one year and then go to college. And it's like, oh yeah, I can do it instantly. And sometimes transition has to take place.
Yeah. And I mean, I know he's obviously in, incredible shape, but there is even some of just kind of some bulking up that I even think anybody can do. Because I mean, the thing, the one thing to look back is go back and watch what JJ Redick's body looks like as a senior at Duke, and then look at what he looks like today. I mean, he's put on a ton of muscle, and over the years, because he had to bulk up to be able to bang in the NBA. Even though he's always had the shooting ability, but you still have to do a bunch of other stuff that just goes with it. All the extra little contact that you have to take and stuff. It's just bigger, stronger guys. So. I mean, there's always just that additional development. I mean, look at Brandon Ingram, right? He was still a twig when he left, and now he fits in totally. He's just
it's a little big. He's still a little too skinny.
What's the graduation from twig? Branch?
Yeah, he's a branch. He's still not a tree. I'll tell you that much. He's definitely not a
tree trunk.
He is not a tree trunk still, but he's grown from twig.
Yes. But he's been able to find his game and evolve with the NBA. Now. Yeah, he's really he's getting buckets. Really he's their main scorer for New Orleans, which is awesome to see because Brandon he's a great kid and we wanted to see him succeed.
Almost had a shout for the All-Star. He was probably next in line to be in the All-Star team.
Wait, I thought he was. I thought that was the big debate whether he should or shouldn't, and then he was in it.
I think wasn't he?
I don't think he was an All-Star.
Well, fact check.
Chat. Help
I thought
us.
he was. I thought he made it. I'm pretty sure. Although this might be my 2029 thing, where I'm pretty sure that I have it right.
Did he make it? And then he was.
He was a bench player.
He was. Okay, good.
I was gonna say maybe he was just injured. Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't see him play. He was definitely injured, right?
No, he played in it.
He did play in it. Okay.
Yeah.
I know he was injured at some point for a week with an ankle thing or something.
I guess I didn't pay attention.
Yeah. I mean, it's just it's NBA ankle sprain. So.
All right. I guess the biggest question mark that we leave this season with is the emergence of Justin Robinson.
Speaking of bulking up, this guy.
Wow. Yeah, right? I mean, this was just like a godsend for us in the last half of the season. And the highlights start with the Notre Dame game because there really wasn't much. Like, this is more than halfway through the season, but then you get Virginia Tech and you get some, like, there's a Wake Forest game. Unfortunately, we lost that, but he still had a phenomenal game in that one. Here's the Wake Forest game. The only reason we're actually in this game at all is because of Justin Robinson. This would have been an NC State blowout if it wasn't for him.
Yeah.
I mean, this is phenomenal.
I think, to be honest with you, my biggest disappointment with all this, hoopla, like no basketball and all this type of stuff is very serious. But like my biggest disappointment is not being able to see him in the ACC and the NCAA tournament, because I think this team was so different with him in the last like two games. Like he started starting, like, I mean, it was a completely different basketball team. And it's just really disappointing to never see that. And also for him as well. I mean, and
he's hitting from the outside.
Was a walk-on. He literally now is starting for Duke, like his whole dream, and then can't play in the tournament.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and like I've been on like a basketball team where we had a player that kind of did that late season emergence. Like a younger. Well, I mean, he's not a younger guy on this team, but it does have such an effect as far as like the hype level of the team, and everyone just gets in like such a better mood. And then it's not like he's like that anyone cares that he's getting minutes over them now. I mean, they're just so happy that it's just functioning, and it becomes fun, when the guy who's been working so hard all this time is finally getting playing time. I think that like the team cohesiveness just like went up a whole other notch, and and him being like essentially a super senior leader on that team was also just made it even better. I think it was great timing for him to emerge after years of working hard and stuff.
No, to Franny's point of our team looked different with him. So if you look at body type, position, and what we were expecting from a lot of our regular starters and bench players throughout the season, he is exactly what we want Matthew Hurt to be. Someone who can stretch the floor, shoot the three with a pretty good clip, and then actually can play defense. That was Matt Hurt's thing. He couldn't play defense. He'd get beat either off the dribble or he'd get muscled off the block against some of the bigger like stretch fours and centers. But Justin Robinson wasn't, probably because he has grown across his 4 and change years at Duke. Plus he also put on a good amount of size and weight. But that's what we wanted. That's what we needed. That's why we recruited Matt Hurt. And so hopefully then if Matt Hurt comes back, we see that type of transition for him as well.
Yeah, nail on the head right there. He's exactly what we need. It was kind of like we finally can spread the floor and we can actually play defense. He started to like bring this different type of energy on the defensive end, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Robinson was also decently long too. I mean, defensively,
he had a lot of blocks.
A lot of blocks. I mean, even earlier in the season, and I even think like last season, when they would come in, for those like 1 to 2 minute stretches, I always like he would come in and he was always my favorite. Like back then, he was just a walk on before they got him a scholarship. But he would come in and he always felt like he was just like like shot out of a shotgun. He just went like 100% intensity, and sometimes you kind of got these walk ons. They're just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna get my minute of play, and basically just like. Kind of just playing Duke basketball, not trying to like blow it, like you almost had like that feeling coming from them versus like he was just like a killer, just like going for it. He's like, well, I got my couple minutes, I'm going to do it. And like, I swear it's like, there was always like, he always had some stat coming out of his 2 minutes, whether it was a block or sometimes he would like miss a three, but at least he like got one. But yeah, you also gave him more time and he developed it. Also, it's just like, yeah, he's going for it. I mean, just I mean, yeah, he caused UNC like a lot of trouble. I mean, he was 4 for 6 from the 3-point line. I mean, and that's in the second matchup. I mean, unbelievable.
He basically won us. I mean, he created that lead for us that game.
Oh yeah,
I mean, he blew that out 100%.
What could have been?
Yeah, this is definitely one of those ones of like what could have been. It was so this is crazy. He was averaging 16.5 points for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like
he was 4th year, right?
He's a grad. He was a grad.
He's a grad.
I was gonna say maybe if he was a 4th year, they'd be able to redshirt it because he didn't play enough. But no, there's no shot.
No, he's done,
He's gone.
unfortunately.
Unless like some crazy like he gets an extra year of eligibility because they didn't play the tournament. No, it's bizarre. But yeah, unfortunate here.
I was really hoping that, with like the ACC tournament and like, a deep run, hopefully all the way in the NCAA tournament, that finally I was going to be able to get the nickname the Commander trending, if he would have accepted it. But
I mean, he was going to be all over the One Shining Moment
all
highlight
over
reel. All over it. Let's be real. Like, it was going to be, it might as well just been like the Justin Robinson One Shining Moment segment.
Just for everything he did, it would just be then a cut to his dad that they always did, like immediately just on the bench, just like just looking proud.
Yeah. Oh man, I loved it. I think it was. Your guys are exactly right. This team played differently when he was on the floor. He came in with confidence. He was an extension of the coach on the floor, I think, to some degree, which is exactly what Trey Jones was. And if you have two of those on the floor at one time, because he knew everything. Like as a senior and a graduate. Like, we talk so much about, it's so hard to play the Duke man defense the way it used to be played. Like, when we were watching the 2010 national title last year, like, that was a defensive clinic except for that, like, one at the end where they let Howard go by and you're just like, wait, what the hell happened? And then it becomes like an actual close game. Otherwise, like, you could see how the switches and the communication was happening, especially with the big men, like with Zubek down low. And like how they were so fluid on defense, but like, and Robinson like knows, like, could play defense and could do all that stuff and just be disruptive. And yeah, I felt like he always got the most out of his minutes.
Yeah.
Came off the bench, was ready to play, got the most. I mean, just positive contributions everywhere. That's not a bad thing you could say about this kid. It was incredible. I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Absolutely.
All right, let's begin to sort of put a wrapper on this. Let's look ahead for a sec. So Justin, the latest, we know that Trey is leaving.
Yes.
And then Alex O'Connell is transferring.
Yes. He posted on Twitter yesterday just a brief message thanking Duke and thanking the Crazies for his 3 years at Duke. But he's decided he wants to go somewhere else, presumably, of course, to increase his minutes, increase his impact that he can have on the team. I think some of the big things that led to this decision for him was actually the emergence of Justin Robinson, because that ate into AOC's minutes a lot. AOC was trying to get some of those 6th, 7th man off the bench minutes to try to be a key member of the team, and just it didn't happen. And so don't know where he's going to go, but he's gonna go through his process. Hopefully he ends up on a team that we don't have to see, because I don't want to play against him because I like him. He's very much a savage, and he is a hard worker and a hard player. I don't want to see him, but of course I want to wish him all the best, because you know what, he came here for 3 years. He tried to do his job whenever he could, and when his number was called, unfortunately, it just didn't work out.
Yeah, I don't know who's going to beat Syracuse now. We might have to put ourselves on upset alert next year. Because apparently every time Syracuse shows up on the other side of the court, he's just like, draining threes like no other, and like putting up, 15 to 20 points. That was like his calling card for whatever reason. Jesus. So like, upset alert next year. Mark it down, Syracuse. We have no orange killer.
Right.
I mean, unfortunately, kind of.
What if he transfers to Syracuse?
Oh God.
Syracuse was one of his finalists coming out of high school.
Oh,
it's kind of one of those personal decisions. He wants more playing time and move on. And kind of with the recruits coming in, I'm sure there's conversation he's had between coach, all these people, they've all told him, and they probably want the best for him. So they're going to, this decision is not one-sided, or I would say like this is a collective decision from all of them. It's kind of what's best for him in his career. But yeah, I wish all the best to him. I really hope. I kind of disappointed to see him leave, but also completely understand it.
Yeah.
One thing he hasn't, when he first came in, you could tell that he needed to bulk up. He still hasn't really like bulked up or filled out that much. That's just my one question mark with him kind of just moving forward. Hopefully he can figure that out.
Yeah, I definitely, so I went to a game or two this year, and I definitely could tell a difference. I mean, as far as like, physical development, but I mean, you're talking 18, to 20-year-olds, like some guys, like it just takes a while. Some guys, are swole at the age of 18 and never have to lift like Gerald Henderson, but some guys, like it takes a while, or you just got to eat more. I don't know. But yeah, I agree. These decisions are, for a lot of, I mean, Duke has had transfers like this over the last several years. I mean, even going back all the way to like 2008, we've had some guys that come in and, they're extremely athletic. They just kind of, get a couple of minutes here or there. And eventually it's just like, well, I'm never going to, they just kind of want to be like in a consistent starting five. And there's teams where they can go to and do that. I think every year that they're at Duke, they get, it's invaluable player development and coaching experience. And then they can take that and really shine at other schools, which is what we typically, typically see. So yeah, I mean, I totally expect him to be, starting somewhere, whenever he's eligible to play and stuff. So, I mean, he'll have to sit out a year, right?
As of right now, yeah, it depends if he gets a waiver because he's not graduating.
Right.
They may actually end up changing it.
Yeah, they may change it, but as of right now, he would have to sit out a year unless he's granted some type of waiver. I don't see him getting a waiver.
Yeah. I mean, like, and saying out, that could be for him as far as, physical development. I mean, that could definitely be the case.
And it's also kind of, from his perspective too, it's kind of, it's difficult for a lot of these players that come into, especially like a program like Duke, like you are the man or you are the woman. If you're coming out of, playing women's basketball, men's basketball, like in high school, you are the person. Like everybody looks to you. You are the famous person, like in that area. When you go to Duke or you go to UNC or you go to a big school, and when you have to sit on the bench and you're only like the 6th, 7th man, I mean, like mentally, I mean, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it wears on you. You're like, I used to be the guy, or I used to be the girl out there that like was dropping buckets all the time. Like it's hard sometimes to get over that little hump of understanding your role. So I totally agree if he goes somewhere and just wants the playing time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What about, so it seemed like it was a thing between Joey and Alex.
Yeah, we debated that a couple times as to who we trusted more, who we wanted on the court more, because they were both our kind of 3-and-D type players. Like they were there to stretch the floor and shoot the three. I think Joey brought more on the defensive side initially, and he was shooting lights out when he was on the court. But then, I don't know, something happened and Baker just wasn't getting minutes and his shots just weren't falling and he wasn't playing as well on the defensive end. But and then he just vanished towards the last like 3-4 games.
Baker's D to me though was a little deceptive. I mean, he, I definitely love the effort, but I feel like he had a lot of effort. I mean, he was always a guy diving for balls and stuff. Sometimes I did seem to like kind of notice that, he was the one that was always on the floor when it was the ball that was like definitely already going out of bounds. You didn't really need to touch it anyway, to like get possession even sometimes. And like he did have a lot of blocks where he'd come in. Sometimes he got a little excited and got the foul, but a lot of those were like not on his guy. He was like helping out. Sometimes he got cracked off the dribble like a lot. When guys are taking him one-on-one. But I mean, still like the help defense stuff was there, and he did have the ability to go up and block and stuff. So
to be honest with you, I think the emergence of Justin Robinson just kind of put the nail in the coffin
it was for both of them. Yeah.
Once you play the lineup of Jones, Stanley, I'm missing one, and then Carey and Robinson. But when you have that starting five, you're only going to rotate 1 or 2 other players and keep the starting five kind of down to 7 to 8, which is what we saw at the end. And then that leaves kind of Joey Baker and AOC kind of out of it. Only pretty much Javin is going to get some minutes within there.
And Matthew.
Matthew Hurt. But like, I think that was the nail in the coffin once you realize like Robinson just comes in and he's able to play it. I mean, there goes your playing time. But from a coaching standpoint, makes total sense. So there's no like, someone was wrong, someone was right. It's just kind of how things work out, and you have to accept it, unfortunately, and move on.
But Joey has said that he is returning for year 3.
Yes,
so
I did. Yeah, that's right. I did.
So he is returning for year 3.
Has there been anything about whether like Wendell Moore or Matthew Hurt are trying to get evaluated or anything?
I don't think
No, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not. I didn't expect so, but yeah.
There
You never
there was some drama on Twitter where Matt Hurt took out, so like in your bio on Twitter,
Oh.
you get like 160 characters.
Yeah.
He had Duke basketball in it, and then once all this like went down, there were some rumblings that he would. Thank you. That he would.
Wait, where's my breakfast?
Yeah, where's my breakfast?
There was some rumblings that because he didn't have, he'd start, he'd play 4 or 5 minutes, and then he'd be done. Like he was very much, you'd see him and then you'd not see him at all in games. There was some rumblings that he would look to transfer, and then he took that out, and everybody started going crazy on Twitter. But then he put it back in, and him and like Cash Stanley are good buddies and all this other stuff. So I do see him coming back and working for his spot. And Wendell Moore is not going to go. He's got a lot to improve on. Because Wendell Moore could be an absolute baller. He really could.
Could he do like a Justice Winslow?
He could do like a Justice Winslow. He won't be the scorer like a Jason Tatum, but I want to see him be more like Jason Tatum, where he can slash, get his own shot, and he has all the physical and the experience. Like Wendell Moore was a stud for USA Basketball, winning all this stuff before he came to Duke. I think he just needs to find his footing a little bit more, get another year or two in, and we could see this kid really blossom to a stellar basketball player.
I think he also suffered from like the Cam Reddish effect, which was necessarily when you're on a team with all those superstars, like it's very hard to necessarily perform. And he's not going to the league like Cam is, so he actually is able to come back and like prove himself and knows what he needs to work on and everything. But I completely agree with you. I think,
to be totally honest, I thought that the Cam Reddish effect that you were going to refer to was the one where you drive into the lane and then like get a charge called on you.
That's talking about just not being very good.
You don't pull up and take a jump shot. You just ball over your defender.
Cam Reddish effect is different in my mind.
Speaking of Cam Reddish, though, if you watch his NBA stats month by month, they just consistently were going up. He was doing quite well right before the shutdown of the NBA. So good for him that he's kind of blossoming early on in his NBA career as well.
Yeah, I do think that an extra year is going to help Wendell for sure. I think you saw there were times where he was playing like the second point guard to some degree.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, and he's like he's bigger than Trey. He's like bigger than your traditional point guard. So maybe there's an opportunity.
How big is he?
And then Matthew, I think Matthew has the shooting ability. There were a couple games where it just didn't quite happen. I mean, he's got to work on the defensive end.
He's 6'6".
Yeah, 6'6", 214.
Huge.
But he even played at that position.
Yeah. He was before really when Goldwire wasn't used as much. Wendell was our tertiary ball handler. So it was Trey, Goldwire, and then Wendell, because Cassius wasn't a primary ball handler. He just didn't have that ability to command and run the offense, but Wendell could to some degree. And then he was out with his hand issue. And I think we started to see some like, oh, wait, like what's happening? Why can't we do anything right now? Like in some of those losses.
Yeah. And I also think sometimes it's a weird thing, like being a taller guy, like even when you have good handles for a guy like your height, if you're being guarded by like a 6'2" guy, like that guy can actually be a quicker defender and actually cause more havoc on your ball handling ability. You have the mismatch, obviously, if you go down low or can just like drive one dimensionally, just straight dribble in, like and get to the bucket, you obviously have the height advantage then. But like, if you then translate, if like down the road, like into the NBA, when you're then being guarded by like a 6'6" guy, you can actually all of a sudden those skills are much better because that guy literally can't like reach down as easy and just get all up in, your handles.
That's
so
like
you're right. Yeah.
No, sorry. Go ahead. My bad.
Oh, yeah. So I'll say like sometimes like, a taller guy look like him comparatively looking taller and havhaving like worse handles is actually a little deceptive just because smaller guys cause more trouble with that just because they're closer to the ground.
And to add, if you're looking for like a comparison, that's like the LeBron James versus like Patrick Beverly defensive matchup. That's like the exact rationale as to why Doc Rivers plays Patrick Beverley against LeBron James.
Mhm.
Yep, exactly.
All right, gentlemen. So I think we are getting ready to wrap this thing up here and wrap up this.
Wait. We also got to do shout outs to the guys that are the other two guys that are graduating, Jack
Oh,
White and
yes.
Javin
Oh
Delorier.
yeah, that is
Yep.
Do
true.
it. Do it.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they, served their roles over their 4 years. Had some ebbs and flows. There were times we thought Jack White was really going to blossom, and he came through in a lot of games. But I think he contributed a lot of energy and fire over the 4 years. Developing. Unfortunately, that the last season, the 3-point shooting just was really unfortunate.
It was kind of downhill.
And there was a point where like that we thought that was going to be like his tool, especially when he was like recruited, like that was his thing. And I think if that component of his game had been there, even just like even if he had averaged 35%, I mean that just would have been a game changer for any of our teams.
Right.
Jav was also a leader on the team. Very physical, aggressive player.
Tremendous defensive energy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
He fell into that player role over 4 years. But like, I mean, he was just a system player, and you got to respect the guy for that.
Mm-hmm.
I completely agree and echo the kind of the same sentiments you said. I think it's great to have seen him go through Duke, and they're kind of the 4 years there. I think Javin is one of those people that you always need in the basketball court. One of those people that have the intangibles that's going to set that screen, that's going to go for that defensive rebound, that's going to block out, that's going to set the pick, those types of things. He assists more points than you'll ever know on the stat sheet just by the things he does.
Oh,
And I think that's really fantastic from the things that he was able to do and awesome to have on the basketball court. On Jack White, kind of similar. Unfortunately, there was that like one season where it was like he went on the worst shooting slump ever, and kind of since then it was like he was kind of never the same. But I mean, those things happen. He was still someone that came back. He realized his 3-point shooting wasn't as good anymore. He was a similar player to Delorier with his intangibles, setting screens, rebounds, hustle. I mean, there's a lot of other things that he did in his leadership that he provided. So it was great to see him for 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, Jack White was able to defend guys that were like easily 4 inches taller than him. Like it was no problem. I mean, he was guarding guys in the post. I mean, and just like blocking them. There's a lot of like important blocks that he had, and like stands like down under the basket, and like a lot of close games that led us to then be able to come back and turn games around when they were still close.
If you remember the first game of the season against Kansas, he comes up with the steal underneath the basket against Azubuike.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
To seal the game. Actually, because that ball was going to go into Azubuike, and Azubuike was going to throw it down, and Kansas was going to tie the game. Jack White steals it, and we end up going on to win. Like that was a pivotal play in the game.
Yeah,
right
I'm sure he'll. I 100% believe that he'll be on playing somewhere in the like Australian basketball league.
I think he's going to be in the NBL, honestly.
Yeah, 100%.
It'd be great.
Oh yeah.
We'd get to call his games on Twitch.
Absolutely.
I don't know who he play for, but like one of the teams. They don't actually have a draft. They're all free agents in Australia, technically. So
true.
You just get picked up.
But I have my Duke jersey is a number 12. That I originally back in 2012 when we graduated. 12 has always been my number in sports that I always try to get. But also then Kyle Singler was like my boy, and like the player that during my college basketball career I tried to style my own personal game after being the relatively in pickup ball, being the taller guy on the floor.
Did you also try to style your hair that way?
Hey,
oh no, dude, very different hair. My defense I took after Wojo, who is also number 12. Yes. So a lot of stock in that number. And then we got Justice Winslow, who I was also a big fan of. But then I got locked in 4 years of Jav, which respectable. I did like his tough, exciting plays and stuff like that. But incoming class number 12 jersey is up for grabs. So
that's right. We will have a new number 12. Do we have a 30?
Yeah, dude. Coach K's grandson.
Oh, Severino. That's right. Severino's got the 30. That's right.
You're locked in for 4 years for sure. Probably 5.
Maybe 5. That's all right. Maybe by the 5th year he'll get some actual playing time.
Hopefully. That'd be a pretty cool story.
That would be. All right. Did we lose Eric? Did he freeze? Oh no, you're back.
I'm back.
He froze for a second.
We're good.
All right. Any final thoughts? Before we do our montage here.
No, it just kind of has been a great season, fantastic season. Also be able to call the games and do these shows with all of y'all, and kind of just to everybody out there, just stay safe, listen to your local authorities, and we'll get through this together. And we'll have basketball again for everybody to call, and we'll hopefully life will be able to go back to normal really quickly. And we'll be back here. It's really a joy.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing perhaps, I don't know what's going to happen with the Olympics, but if we do, USA Basketball will have USA Basketball.
Nice.
We'll have the NBA. We were planning on having the NBA. Here's the amazing things we were planning on doing. We're going to have an amazing selection show. Justin, you had your bracket ready to go, basically.
It was ready.
It was ready to roll, right? We were going to give away cash for the tournament prize. We were going to be doing weekend or weekly games for the NCAA tournament. Then obviously the Final Four and the national title, which would have had Duke in it anyway. And then, then we would have transitioned in the NBA. So maybe there's an opportunity to still do that. We'll see. Otherwise, we'll be back next season to do, starting right from the top, calling all the games. I guess it'll be Michigan State probably in the Champions Classic to tip off the season, since it was Kentucky, Kansas. Then we're up with Michigan State in the rotation.
Yeah.
So.
I think the one thing we can all console ourselves with is that it was a Duke related person, the NBA commissioner Adam Silver, who suspended that season, to protect for the sake of mankind, the NBA players, which started a ripple effect throughout sports. And then, obviously Duke University itself was the one that took the high ground and the moral and the excellent behavior, and unfortunately led the way to getting everything shut down. But for a good reason in the long run.
It's true. There were reports that were saying that Duke, regardless of what the ACC decided, was not going to play the ACC tournament nor the NCAA tournament, and perhaps Kansas wasn't going to play the NCAA tournament either. So Duke sort of forcing the hand there of the league. So
what type of dog is that? Is that a black German Shepherd?
Yeah, black German Shepherd mix.
Wow, that's
he's
on point there.
He's a good boy.
I see all his Snapchat videos of his dogs. They're beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
They're
fun. They are fun.
Them. Yeah, I love them.
And now they're featuring prominently on the show.
Yes, they are.
Which is a lot of fun.
I'm surprised he hasn't eaten your breakfast that's next to you.
Oh, he's staring at it.
Yeah. He's a really good boy to not eat that. That's really bad. He's got great skills there. Wow.
Oh my God. That's really funny.
All right, let's get to it. One shining moment.
One
shining moment.
It should have the audio here. This video is on our YouTube, so go ahead and share it with all your friends. We had a lot of fun putting this together. We'll let it roll. I should be able to hear it. You also should be able to hear us.
So beautiful.
I have to say, I went spending as much time as I did on this thing, I can't even listen to this anymore.
The ball is
there you go, Eric. The timing is dead on.
Nailed it.
You're a shooting star in all the years. No one.
It's crazy how different our lineup was back then.
Oh yeah.
But now it's your
I really like this one. I thought this was an iconic moment.
It's all on
Oh, poor Michigan State.
in one shining moment.
Matthew heard.
See, Jack White getting in on the action. I love this one.
And the road is long in the blinking of an eye. That moment's gone, and when it's done, win or lose.
Yeah, talk about Cassius Stanley! His head is at the rim! Trey Jones with 2 seconds! Trey Jones! Are you kidding me? Trey Jones for the win! No! Duke! Yeah! Oh, I think it's winning! I think it went in! I think it went in!
Feel the beat of your heart. Feel the wind in
Goldwire.
your face. It's
Really
more than
nice,
a
though.
contest.
It was
It's
big in the
more-
first league. I mean,
You put all
Goldwire
the
had-
Goldwire shots in.
Oh, yeah, man. Goldwire at Florida State was phenomenal. good Alex play. He looked great Alex play there. He had a bunch of those in that previous Virginia Tech game. There's the Robinson stuff.
And when it's done, win or lose, you always did your best.
Time's over an encore! What a play!
In one shining moment, you reach for the sky.
Wendell Moore, what a pass! Fireball! Oh, all the way to Trey Jones.
In one shining moment, you're willing.
There were like 2 or 3 Robinson shots that hit
In
that
one
part of the
shining
rim.
moment.
Bring out the brooms, ladies and gentlemen, and while you do, why don't you start swatting UNC away? Stay down, says Robinson, and Duke is going to complete the season sweep of UNC.
Aw. Gets me every time.
Yep,
So
every time.
beautiful.
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah.
beautiful.
So much better when there's just no sad moments of players crying. Like when the actual
When you don't get thrown out of the tournament.
It's just better when there's like 50 dunks.
Yeah.
All you need.
Right, because they're in that part where it says like win or lose, right? That's the
Yeah,
one
they
you're
just have
referring
player.
to.
It's always like a player just like
Yeah.
total
Yeah,
collapsing.
pretty
And
much.
I'm just like, I always like would thought like, oh man, if I was a college player, like it'd be so hard to like you lose in the tournament and then just like have to have the mental preparedness just to like not break down during that moment because you know you probably get thrown into one shining moment.
Pretty much. Yep.
To be fair, the guy who does the song, like, put it out there, like, put out a tweet and is like, I want to see the one shining moments for all the teams because we didn't get a chance. Like, here's the music. He just put it out there for everyone. On his website, there's a ton of teams that actually submitted one. Duke
wow.
actually did not. So ours is on there. So we're the official Duke one. So share it and tell all your friends. Yeah, we've done. It's okay. We've Duke men's basketball. Video production, we've got your back. Even though we only had our ESPN shots, we didn't have like the full HD.
Yeah, it was actually sad too. Because I went and I looked at that website, and on another tab, they had a thing where they were having they were taking submissions, and we're gonna have like a voting process, like bracket of like somebody performing their own version of it. And I think like potentially they were either gonna get to perform it live, like in the stadium, or
Oh,
at least
wow. That's
or at
cool.
least perform their rendition to be put on the video, which like would have
That's
been
cool.
really cool to see. So
Oh
hopefully,
wow! Oh, that's
Yeah.
so cool.
so I imagine they'll just roll that over to next year. So but that's a really cool idea.
Interesting.
Mhm.
All right. Well, I think that'll wrap it up here on this Sunday morning. Everybody try to at least get outside, but make sure to maintain your social distance. I think I'm going to go for a walk to get out of my apartment, which I like haven't left in days. We'll probably be posting videos on like little segments. We'll get together and do the recruits for next year.
Mhm.
We'll probably do like Better Know a Blue Devil kind of thing. Those will be videos. We'll try to upload one every 1 or 2 weeks. Do a little breakdown of the game for these recruits, so we'll be prepared for next season. And then hopefully once we get sports back in the world, we'll come to you live once again.
Mhm.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, for all of us here at Real Life Sports, Justin, Fran, Eric, and myself, Ritz, thank you very much for watching and for being with us throughout this 2019-2020 Duke season, not 2029. Maybe we'll still be around by 2029. That'll be something to see.
Mhm.
Stay safe, everybody. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and we'll get through all this together, and hopefully we'll get basketball and sports back soon. Thank you very much for watching, and for all of us here, have a good day.
So go Duke, guys.
Go Duke. See you guys.
Go Duke.